Everybody, and welcome to the Bensalem Township Council meeting. We're going to open the meeting with a moment of silent meditation and Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Justice for all.
Okay, public comment or questions on both agenda and non-agenda items will be mailed to the Bensalem Township Clerk of Council, 2400 Byberry Road, Bensalem, PA 19020, or can be emailed to publiccomments@bensalempa.gov. Number 2 on the agenda, any public comment? Do we have anything at this point, Joe?
At this point, Mr. Polari, there are no public comments have been received either by mail or by email on any agenda or non-agenda items. While I have the floor, I'd like to let everybody involved in the meeting and anyone who may be watching know that item 4 for this evening, minor subdivision for Anthony Olschlegel, is not going to be heard this evening. The applicant has requested that the item be tabled. And at this point, I'm looking over to Ms. McBreen. Did they request a date certain, or I think at this point, Councilman, because they were unsuccessful in front of the zoning hearing board. So what we may want to do at this point is simply we'll just remove it from the agenda, and at whatever point in time they're ready to come back in front of council, they'll have to re-advertise.
Okay.
So we'll simply pull that, and the other item for this evening, item 8, is also being pulled, and that will come back at a future agenda.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Pizzo. Number 3 on the agenda would be approval of council minutes for meeting dates December 7th, December 14th, and January 4th. Let's start with December 7th. We have any questions or changes that need to be made?
Mr. Polari, I had a couple minor editorial ones for the December 7th meeting on page 9. The paragraph right before where it says building and planning, it says mileage rate in there a couple times. I believe that should be millage rate.
That's
Okay.
And that was the only corrections that I had.
Anyone else have any corrections? Okay, December 14th. Do we have any changes?
I had one on this one. On page 2, under agenda item 4, it said that Councilmember Tokmajian motioned to approve, but I believe that the motion was to table it to a date certain of January 25th, not to approve.
I seconded the tape.
Correct.
all right. We're on the
December
December
14th.
14th minutes.
It's the same West End Avenue, Joe. It was tabled before.
What line is that? Just
It's the agenda item 4 on page 2. It's the last sentence, the last paragraph there.
There wasn't a motion to approve. There was a motion to table.
Correct.
Right.
And that was the only change that I noted.
anyone else have any changes?
So it's the Anthony Olschlegel matter, Debbie, which is item number 4 on page 2 of 7.
Right.
The last line, it says Council Member Tokmajian motion to approve. That should say motion to table to a date certain of January 25.
Thank you.
Any other changes for the 14th?
None for me.
January 4th? we have any changes, corrections, or changes? No one? Okay, then we'll accept the motion for all of them together.
Make a motion that we approve the council minutes of December 7th, 2020, December 14th, 2020, and January 4th, 2021 as corrected.
I'll second.
Any questions on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Bensalem and Byberry Road proclamation.
Ayes have it 4-0.
Yes, I seconded it then.
Okay,
All right, so the next item,
Number
I'll
five.
let in Mr. Edelman.
okay, number 5 on the agenda is Lennar MPA LLC, reapproval of Waterside's amended final plan, final Phase 3 plan.
And then, good evening, Mr. Edelman.
Good evening. Good evening, members of council, Mr. Mayor.
You have witnesses on standby if we need them?
Yes, we have multiple people on standby if council has any questions with respect to the reapproval.
Okay. What council has before you on this item is, as council will recall, back in October, I believe it was, of last year, you granted Phase 3 land development approval for the Waterside project. Unbeknownst to anyone at the time of the hearing, the County Planning Commission had not undertaken a review of the plan as is required under the municipality's planning code. So out of an abundance of caution to make sure all of the Ts are crossed and Is are dotted, the application was resubmitted to the Planning Commission for an opportunity for them to weigh in on the plan as otherwise approved by the township. In your packets are a copy of the December 21 memorandum from the Planning Commission with 7 comments regarding the application, or at this point I'd say regarding the plan, all of which I believe are will comply items or items that have already been complied with. And so what the applicant is looking for this evening and what the administration is recommending is simply a reapproval or a confirmation of the approval that you granted for this plan previously. Is that an accurate summary, Mr. Edelman?
Yes, it is, Mr. Pisa. Thank you.
Would you agree with that also, Russ, that that's where we find ourselves at this juncture? And you're muted, Russ.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. So unless council has specific questions for either Mr. Edelman or any of the representatives of Lennar, you can simply just vote to reapprove the plan, subject to all of the conditions that were previously imposed and with the applicant complying with all of the additional items raised in the December 21 memorandum of the Bucks County Planning Commission.
Does anyone on council have any questions?
I have a question for Mr. Benner, actually. Russ, do you have, are you satisfied with the responses that they provided to the Planning Commission?
Yeah, obviously a majority of those are landscaping type of comments. And I believe they've given appropriate responses. As Joe had said previously, they'll either address those comments or work it out through us.
Right.
Part of the construction.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else have any questions? Hearing no one, do we have a motion?
I'll make a
I'll make a motion.
Waterside.
Sorry, Joe, you want it or do you want it?
Yeah, I made a motion that we reapprove Waterside amended final Phase 3 plan.
Do we have a
I'll second.
second on the motion?
Yes, sir, I'll second it.
First by Joe Knowles, second by Ed Tokmasian. All in favor?
Excuse me, Ms. Blair, real quick, just a question. Do we have to clarify that it's subject to the same, whatever conditions we imposed the last time that we approved this plan? Mr. Pizzo?
It's part of the record of this hearing, but yes, it can be as part of Mr. Knoll's motion that it's subject to all of the conditions set forth in the council's earlier approval of the Phase 3 plan and subject to the compliance with the comments of the Bucks County Planning Commission of December 21, 2020.
Okay, my motion's so amended.
I'll amend as well.
Mr. Adelman, you are in agreement with all that, correct?
That's correct.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, we have, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Ayes have it, 4-0. Thank you, Mr. Adelman.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening, everyone.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Number 6 on the agenda, consideration and signing of an agreement, applicant Foley Incorporated, 2975 Galloway Road, modular office building, general industrial, 2-3-66-7. It's land development improvement agreement. So Joe, do you want to take that?
Certainly. As council will recall, you previously granted land development approval for the Foley, which is the former Giles and Ransom property, for the expansion that they're looking to do there. Our office prepared the land development agreements that are in your packet. The applicant has signed the agreements. They're in a form acceptable to the township. The applicant has also provided the funding called for and paid the fees called for under those under the approval and is set forth in the agreement. And the administration is recommending that you approve the land development improvement agreement for Foley, Inc.
Thank you, Mr. Pizzo. Do we have any questions from council? If no questions, a motion would be in order.
I'll make the motion, Mr. Polari, that we approve the land development improvement agreement for 2975 Galloway Road for Foley, Inc.
Thank you, Mr. Tokmasian. Do we have a second on the motion?
I'll second the motion.
Second, Mr. Sloan. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Ayes have it, 4-0. Number 7 on the agenda, consideration and signing of agreements for Bedudo Investment, east side of Tennis Avenue, opposite Highland Avenue. Proposal use 2 buildings, R2 residential district. Land development improvement agreement and a stormwater best management practices operation and maintenance agreement. Mr. Pizzo?
Yes, thank you. As we just did for Foley, as council will recall, you previously granted land development approval for Sperduto Investments for property located on Tennis Avenue. This was for the construction of the approximately 11,000 square foot buildings on that property. Our office prepared the land development agreement and stormwater agreement for the project consistent with the approvals. The developer has provided the required funding and paid the necessary fees called for under the agreements, and the administration is recommending the approval of the agreements at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Pizzo. Any questions from council?
I just have one quick question, Mr. Polari. Mr. Pizzo, just out of curiosity, this was originally approved back in September of 2018. Is there any reason for the delay or why we're seeing it finally in 2021?
COVID?
Maybe.
I'm sure COVID is a factor. As you know, oftentimes your approvals are contingent upon the applicants securing various other approvals from other governmental entities, be they water, sewer, PennDOT, EPA, any number of agencies with oversight of the land or the project. So that typically is a factor. Financing is sometimes a factor, and of course, for the past 11 months, COVID has been a factor. So I don't know if any one or any combination of those laid into why these agreements took the better part of a year, but when the developers come to the township and say, okay, we've satisfied all the conditions and we've got our financing and we're ready to roll, we prepare the agreements and send them out to them. So,
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
I do think there's progress down there, because a couple people called me about what was going down there. They're clearing the ground.
Thank you, Mr. Knowles. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Ayes have it, 4-0.
8 was removed from the agenda, so we're up to item 9.
Yeah, was there,
Ed Technesian, you made the motion, right?
I'll make the motion. That's fine, Mr. Valeri, that we approve
I'll second the motion.
the land development improvement agreement as well as the stormwater best management for Sperduto Investments.
I'll second the motion.
Oh, I
Motion by Tokmasian, second by Knowles.
thought we already went through that. Well, I'll go through the motions again. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, ayes have it, 4-0. Number 9 on the agenda, consideration of a resolution for 537 PA Sewage Facilities Act, plan revision for new land development of a parcel of land identified as Sampan,
No. I corrected that, so it was meant for we want to. Four lots.
okay, for a 4-lot subdivision located at 4964 Neshaminy Boulevard.
Thank you.
So, as council knows from time to time,
Sorry.
and as I just mentioned in discussing Sperduto, the approvals that you grant are oftentimes conditioned upon the property owners or applicants securing approvals from a variety of other governmental agencies. In this case, a previously approved 4-lot subdivision at 4964 Neshaminy Boulevard requires approval of the amendment to the Township's Act, excuse me, Act 537 plan. The resolution that's before you this evening is the standard form of resolution for the Department of Environmental Protection that would authorize the amendment of the Act 537 plan to reflect the construction of the 4-lot subdivision at that location. As I said, the form is in the resolution, and the attached documents are in the forms required by the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection. They've been reviewed by the administration and by the township engineer, and are in a form acceptable for your consideration and approval this evening.
Thank you, Mr. President. Do we have any questions from council?
I do. I don't believe that this was ever approved, the subdivision. This was on our agenda November 12th, 2019. I had to sift through my records. At the time, we had a big debate about this, and the applicant withdrew the request for the subdivision. And they were going to submit a new application, which would include the land development plans. It's all captured in the minutes, if you want to go back and take a look. But, you know, I looked at all of our agenda items since that date, and this never came across our desks after that. So there was never a Bensalem Township Council approval for this.
I think you're correct.
And I believe it may have went through planning, if I remember correctly, but not through us.
I think they were coming back to us because they wanted to make adjustments to the lot. But they were going to do one at a time, one of those deals.
Right, and we were, at the time, we wanted to see the land development plans along with the subdivision, so we weren't in another situation dealing with bad stormwater management for the neighbors and things like that.
Yeah, we did continue that because we didn't have, or they were going to be on the agenda, the only thing on the agenda last meeting. So I think they're scheduled to go in the second meeting, the next meeting. So does this have to wait for that, Mr. Paizo, or can it still be? Well, I guess we want to. We would want to wait because it's not approved yet.
That's entirely up to council. You can certainly, if the application is into the township, which it is, you can certainly approve it prior to or subsequent to your approval, whichever way you prefer to do it. It's normally been your practice to do it after the approval. So if you'd like to simply pull this off of the agenda, and it can come back at such time as it is ripe. And we'll find out with the Building and Planning Department why it was given to the Clerk of Council to put on the agenda prematurely.
If there's no question by council, I think we'll pull this back and have it after we approve or disapprove. Because if we disapprove the plan, it doesn't really matter.
That's fine.
Okay, thank you.
I agree with that.
Good catch, Jess.
And the Hindu temple one is off, right? That was a mistake.
I think that was just a typo in the first place.
Yeah, it was a typo.
Okay.
That was number 10, consideration of a resolution authorizing the acceptance of a municipal grant program contract awarded by the redevelopment authority of Bucks County in the amount of $138,500 regarding Bensalem Township, Towns Against Graffiti. Mr.
Yes,
Paizo.
thank you, Mr. Polari. For the next three items, 10, 11, and 12, all three, which you'll vote on separately, but all three are resolutions which are the final step in the township's securing municipal grant program monies from the County Redevelopment Authority. As council will recall, this is a multi-step process that begins with you last fall submitting applications to the RDA for a variety of projects for which the township has requested grant monies. When the RDA finally makes its decisions, you voted to accept those monies, and you did that at a meeting, I believe, in November or December. And now this is the final step of that process, which is a resolution authorizing the administration to execute the contracts with the RDA for the monies that we have requested and have been awarded. So the first of the three is, again, one that should be no stranger to you. This is money for the funding of Towns Against Graffiti. For the public who may not be aware, Towns Against Graffiti is a multi-jurisdictional initiative that was started by Mayor DiGirolamo many, many years ago. As the name suggests, it's a program whereby all of the participating municipalities are able to take advantage of the graffiti removing equipment. When it sprouts up anywhere in the township, a call is made to the township. The Towns Against Graffiti team is dispatched, and it is taken down typically either the same day or within a day or so of the call coming into the community. For the year 2021, the RDA has awarded $138,500 to the Towns Against Graffiti program. The contract is a standard contract that we do every year with the RDA. We've reviewed it as acceptable in form and content for your consideration and approval this evening, as is the form of resolution, which is the same form that we've used in years past for this program.
Do we have any questions from council?
Mr. Fuller, I have a question. Mr. Paizo, I noticed on the budget that we had approved this past December, it was budgeted out at 190,000. Is there any impact with that, and the fact that this is 138,500?
No, I believe, and I'll defer to the mayor, but I believe that at the time you voted to approve the budget, we already knew what the award was going to be from TAG. So the fact that 138,500 from the RDA was the amount that we would receive was factored into the township's budget for this program for 2021. And I see the mayor nodding, so yes, that's...
Yeah, the remainder we need to run the program, that is part that we got on. Remember that this is multi-municipalities. We actually administrate it for all the municipalities, so it goes through us. So that's how it works.
Does that mean that other?
We don't have the budget enough to cover as much as we may have wanted then to cover some of the expenses throughout the year.
Well, we have to see that, if that happens.
Right, okay.
We used to run, we used to have fundraisers for this, all the municipalities together, and it kind of went by the wayside. And certainly we keep talking about COVID, and things are nuts, and trying to do different things is very difficult right now. But we're safe. We're safe.
Do we have any other questions? If not, a motion would be in order for number 10.
Blair, I'll make the motion that we accept and approve the resolution as drafted for the tag program for $138,500.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Ayes have it, 4-0. Number 11 on the agenda, consideration of a resolution authorizing the acceptance of a municipal grant program contract awarded by the RDA of the County of Bucks to the amount of $70,000 regarding the proposed Bensalem Township Fire/EMS upgrade project.
So again, everything that we just said regarding TAG would apply to this as well. This is the amount requested by the township, the RDA funded fully, $70,000, which will go to the 6 volunteer fire companies within the township and to Bensalem EMS, in an amount of $10,000 to each of those entities. It's the same amount we applied for and received last year. Contract is in the same form as previously. The resolution is in the same form, and they're all in a form acceptable for your consideration and approval at this time.
Do we have any questions on it, on the resolution?
I do, Mr. Blair.
No, go ahead, Ed.
Yeah, just same question, Mr. Pizzo, as far as the budget is concerned. Yeah, for particularly the fire EMS upgrade project, it didn't specifically match the budgeted line item, or I'm trying to connect the dots here, and I'm assuming it's under the Community Spirit Fund. Whereas there's a line Bensalem radios, there's a line for computer integration. Do either of these resolutions tie to those budgeted lines?
I believe these funds go directly to the fire companies and to the rescue squad, and used by them to pay down existing debt.
Okay.
It does.
Okay.
So we're the applicant, but for these particular ones, the funds go directly to the fire companies and to the rescue squad.
Okay. Thank you.
Do we have any other questions?
Let me go back a second to the, just to show you how this works. When we talked about the Towns Against Graffiti, Bensalem gets that grant, but it's for everybody. It comes out of that whole thing. So when they say Bensalem gets that grant, it was put in for everybody. So I don't want you to think that Bensalem got that money by itself. It's not just a Bensalem grant. I just wanted to make that clear.
You asked
Any
for-
questions?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we accept the resolution for the Bensalem Township Fire EMS upgrade project. $70,000 is awarded by our redevelopment authority, Bucks County.
I'll second.
Who was the second?
Hey, it took me, Agent.
Tuck Nugent. Thank you. Any questions on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Ayes have it, 4-0. Number 12 on the agenda, consideration of a resolution authorizing the acceptance of a municipal grant program contract awarded by the Redevelopment Authority of Bucks County in the amount of $115,600 regarding the proposed Bucks County Police Chiefs Association's record management system. Mr. Pizzo?
Yes, and as the mayor was just suggesting with the case of the Towns Against Graffiti, where we are applying as the lead agency, the same is true for this one as well. This application is a recurring expense, which typically, as you will recall from last fall, is something that was normally done through the county. However, because of the change in administration in Doylestown, it ended up falling to Bensalem to serve as the lead agency for this year. So we submitted the application to the RDA, but we did so on behalf of, I believe, 39 municipalities who participate in the record management system. So the funds were approved by the RDA. The contract is, again, the same contract, same resolution. They're in a form acceptable for your consideration and approval. And at the end of the day, we'll be taking this money and we'll be administering it as the lead agency for this program.
Do I have any questions from council? If not, a motion would be in order.
I'll make a motion that we approve the resolution as presented.
I'll second it. This is Ed Tookmanjian.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any questions on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Ayes have it. 4-0. Number 13 on the agenda, consideration of two resolutions regarding the right-of-way acquisition along Bristol Road. Location A, Winding Brook Drive to south of Pasqualone Boulevard. Location B location, northwest corner of Winding Brook Drive and Bristol Road. Mr. Pizzo?
Yes, I'll hand this particular item off to Mr. Wersta, who's been dealing directly with PennDOT. These are both regarding the upcoming Bristol Road widening project.
Thank you, Mr. President, Mr. Pizzo. Just to give you a brief, history of where we are with regard to the Bristol Road project. As it's been so long in coming, I'm not sure who knows what about it, but the bottom line is it's a widening project to provide a center-left turn lane from Old Lincoln Highway all the way to Pasqualone Boulevard. As you know, many areas of the road already have a center-left turn lane. As part of this project, there's sidewalk enhancements as well as drainage enhancements, and an adaptive traffic signal system will be installed similar to the one that we have on Street Road, and that it will be on Humeville and Bristol Pike as well. We were just recently made aware of PennDOT's intention to purchase right-of-way from the township along Bristol Road. The area on Bristol Road is on the north side, essentially from Pasqualone Boulevard all the way to Winding Brook. That is about a 17-foot taking of the roadbed for right-of-way for PennDOT. The interesting part is that is already part of the highway. So PennDOT is basically cleaning up an old right-of-way situation where that state right-of-way is really in the middle, or is really, the township right-of-way is really in the middle of the southbound or westbound through lane on Bristol Road in this section. They're taking from the front of the sidewalk, across a little green patch to the curb, and then out another 9 feet. So that is, 13 feet. So this is generally just a cleanup issue, except PennDOT is paying us for this piece of property. That's what one of the sections is. The other one on the corner at Winding Brook is a small drainage maintenance area for the existing culvert that goes underneath Bristol Road at that location. So it's fairly a simple thing, just a right-of-way line change, and I think they're offering us $22,000 for it. And that's pretty much sums it up.
Do we have any questions? Any questions from council?
Yeah, Mr. Warsa, do you know how the valuation of that land was determined?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't.
PennDOT, in both cases, PennDOT has a formula in its manuals where they retain an appraiser and have a formula for coming up with the appraised value of both takings. So, as Mr. Wersta said, at least in regard to the larger of the two, which is the item 13B, that amount is going to be what, Phil? Somewhere around 60,000?
One is like 16,000. The other one's 6,300, I believe.
I'm sorry, 16,000.
They don't.
Can I?
They don't really have a a square footage value for this section that I could find. But,
Can I interrupt a minute?
Certainly.
sure, Mayor.
All right, knowing what they had offered, we hired somebody to go out, a Sorvetti, who's a certified general appraiser. And his comment to this is that this is to advise you that we have reviewed the taking and the offer from PennDOT and appears reasonable and in line with the value in this area. We thus support the said offer and the subject taking, Anthony Salvetti. So we were proactive to find out what this was worth, and that's what we got from an appraiser, our appraiser.
That makes sense. Thank you, Mayor.
And I made a mistake. It's 22,000 for the long section and 6,300 for the small section at Winding Brook.
So this
It's
will be,
almost 30,000, I think.
yeah.
Right.
So it'll be
Yeah.
for area that's already being used as road or
Right.
curb.
Do we have any other questions from council?
Do we know approximately what the timeline would be of once these resolutions are passed and until PennDOT actually does something? And number one, he does the check, and number two, starts on the project.
20 years?
I didn't
Yeah,
see
see, this has been going on for
Sorry.
10 years, and I know.
I'm aware, and because
Yeah.
of other properties are along Bristol Road, and that's why I can't seem to get a straight answer from anybody on this.
Nobody can. As a matter of fact, PennDOT, because of COVID, is you guys, Phil, you can tell us that you just don't go directly to somebody now. Everything is up in the air with PennDOT.
They're playing catch up completely. I had a meeting with the fellow from PennDOT on Friday in Bensalem. It's the first time he's been out of his house on business for 6 months. And he was thrilled to be out looking at sites. So, but to answer your question, the best we have is spring of 2022 for an expected construction let date. The issue right now is utilities. They have a lot of utility issues. And certainly they're also coordinating with themselves regarding the Route 1 project. And as you know, the Bristol Road Bridge is gone. So at least they're working in Bensalem, and we're happy for that with regard to Street Road and Route 1 and Bristol Road. They certainly are paying attention to us. And I also found out that they just started to study the I-95 interchange again as well. So things are.
That's about 40 years.
I'm just a messenger on that one, Mayor.
Yeah, I'm tired of hearing about that. We're trying to get the county back on board with working with us to build that slip ramp. You know, we have it in the budget, so hopefully they'll come through. They want to do it.
Well, that is now on PennDOT's Transportation Improvement Plan. It's TIP, and is about to be awarded. So that will be a reality. But again, that's going to take some time with regard to the right-of-way acquisition, and you know, we know everything else that goes along with that. So that'll certainly precede the new interchange that we're going to see.
Yeah. Well, that would be a big help for us.
Yes.
Does Phil or the mayor know any update on the sound wall that we're supposed to get from the turnpike?
Well, where?
Sound wall for the turnpike, where they added a lane to the turnpike behind Barnsley East, Salem Point, and Chancellor's Glen. And
Oh, that comes with the widening. They haven't started widening that yet, have they?
well, they're back there sometimes, but I don't know what they're doing.
Well, that was always tied to the widening. When they get down there to widen it, they're putting in the sound barrier.
Okay, so that's okay.
Okay, do we have any more? Phil, did you have anything else you wanted to add to this?
No, that's it, Mr. President. Thank
Do
you.
we have any more questions on 13A or B? If there's no more questions,
I'll make a motion that we accept the resolutions for the right-of-way acquisitions along Bristol Road, A at Winding Brook, and B at the northwest corner of Winding Brook and Bristol Road, as presented.
do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Any questions on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Ayes have it 4-0. Thank you, Mr. Worcester, for your help.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Number 14 on the agenda, consideration of a fire hydrant escrow release for Provco Wawa 3820 State Street, I think that's Street Road, isn't it?
Supposed to be Street Road, I think.
Street Road, 2-1-42, 2-1-42-3, and 2-1-47 in the amount of $21,600. Mr. Benner?
Yeah, thank you, Council President. This is kind of an odd escrow release, and Quentin, you can jump in, correct me if I'm wrong. It's really, this is a leftover line item from the project's original escrow, and the point of this was to guarantee that the developer would pay the utility company for water usage during construction. The project's been finalized. Frankly, no bills were incurred. So it's appropriate now to essentially release this $21,600 fire hydrant escrow, as it was termed, to the developer. And of course, if council chooses to release it, this will be subject to an audit by the finance department.
Thank you, sir. Any questions from council?
So this is, because I noticed that the address was, I guess, incorrect. So this is the Wawa up by, up on Street Road by the Turnpike?
Yeah, Kingston Way.
Okay.
That's why I changed it to Street Road instead of State Road.
I was worried about it. I thought that
Apologize.
was State Road somewhere.
If there's no questions, motion would be in order.
I'll make a motion that we approve the fire hydrant escrow release for Provco Wawa in the amount of $21,600, subject to audit by the finance department.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passed 4-0. Number 15 on the agenda, escrow release for Republic First Bank, release number 1, 2734 Street Road, tax parcel 2-37-29 and 30 and 31, amount of $365,438.76. Mr. Benner?
Yeah, once again, this is more of your typical standard escrow release. The Republic Bank on Street Road, the project, the bank's occupied. In order to ask for the escrow release, we are holding some additional funds. There's a couple of cleanup items that are still left out there. We'll hold on to that until till that work is done. But essentially, we're approving the release of the $365,430.76 request.
Thank you. Any questions from council?
Russ, do we know when they're going to complete the rest of that work? It looks like it's just a couple minor things.
Yeah, it's a couple of drainage items, and Quentin and I talked about this today. We've been going back and forth with the contractor, the engineer, but I think the contractor now, Quentin, has kind of taken the bull by the horn, so to say, to try to get this work completed. We've asked for some calculations from the engineer to get it completed and then be in a position to release the rest of it.
Okay. Thank you.
Russ, I assume that's plenty of money to make sure that they do.
Oh, yeah, it's just a very minor item for the outlet structure of the detention basin.
Okay.
Any other questions? Motion would be in order.
Well, I'll put the motion up that we approve the escrow release number 1 for Republic First Bank at 2734 Street Road, based on audit by our finance department.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any questions on the motion? All in favor?
Vote aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Ayes have it 4-0. Number 16 on the agenda is consideration of an escrow release for BSV Housing LP, release number 2, 3055 Mechanicsville Road, 2-37-63 in the amount of $219,685.40.45. Any questions on the motion or on the plan? Mr. Benner?
No, just once again, this is really the development's done, the project's done, it's occupied. This is their second escrow release. There are some minor, once again, punch list items, mostly grading, minor grading issues will be taken care of in the springtime. But we certainly feel that it's appropriate to consider a release of a $219,685.45 escrow request.
Do you have any questions for Mr. Benner, counsel?
Yeah, just one quick question, Mr. Benner. I noticed line 10, the sidewalks are releasing in full. However, there is some note about replacements being required. Do you believe the contingency that we're leaving open will cover that?
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Motion would be in order.
I'll make a motion that we approve escrow release number 2 for BSV Housing LP in the amount of $219,685.45, subject to an audit by the Finance Department.
Any questions on the motion?
It took me, Agent.
All in favor?
Vote aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Ayes have it, 4-0. Number 17 on the agenda, public comment. Mr. Paizo, do we have any public comment?
No, as I mentioned at the outset of the meeting, nothing had been received by the clerk of council or via email prior to the meeting, and we've received no comments during the meeting.
Thank you, sir. Number 18 on the agenda, other business supporting personnel. Mr. Sloan.
I noticed in going through the minutes from the previous meetings, there was a comment made during the budget meeting about the comprehensive plan coming out this year. And Director Farrell had mentioned that council would have an opportunity to review and provide comments after the first of the year. And I was wondering, now that we're into February, will that plan be provided to council?
Absolutely. We're getting close to that, Jess. Again, because of COVID, people have been going back and forth and
Sure.
who's not in, whether, but yes, absolutely. Council's part of the plan. Yes.
Okay, good. I just want to make sure.
Absolutely.
Okay, my next question is, Mr. Paizo, is there any update on that you can provide at this meeting on the, let's say, situation down along Bristol Pike, Mr. Connolly, Mr. Popley? I know there's various pieces of litigation involved. Anything that you can provide as an update at this time?
The only,
Especially the dirt pile, because I know there's a lot of talk about the dirt pile, and
I can, let me just address the dirt pile. We have an agreement from their attorney that the dirt pile will be moved by the end of April.
okay,
That came right from their attorney. It's in writing, so that's a very positive sign.
And I talked to Mr. Conley today, Jess, and he's happy. I let him know about what's going on with the dirt pile. He's happy about that, and a couple other things that he had. The mayor's working on those right now, and Joe Paizo, to make sure that we get everything squared away. So everything's getting done, moving along with Mr. Conley at this point.
okay. And then have we had somebody down to take a look at the traffic patterns going along at the neighboring property? I know that was a big concern of his.
It's still a concern. Still a concern. We're looking at it. And
Does that meet our code?
Phil's not there. Did Phil leave?
Yeah,
yes,
he did.
Phil, I want to see what PennDOT said. That's a state highway.
Okay,
To see how we can get PennDOT involved there on the traffic patterns, because it could become a safety issue on their highway. So
Right.
That's what we're looking at.
okay.
And on that thing, Jess, I've sent over some videos that Joe sent to me over to Ken. So he has everything in a file for that to make, so if we have to move forward, whatever, it'll be done.
Great. Thanks, Mr. Polari. The only other thing I want to say is, I hope everyone out there is staying healthy, staying safe. I know that the COVID vaccine rollout has finally started. It's definitely having hiccups, but anyone who's eligible should register through the county site. Call your doctor, call your local pharmacy, to see, if a vaccine is available and if you can get it. The sooner everyone gets vaccinated, the sooner hopefully that we can return to some sense of normalcy around here. So,
Can I make a comment on that, Jess?
Please.
We're getting inundated with calls here to the mayor's office that why they can't get it and this and that and the other. I was going to do a short PSA on TV, but I hopefully people hear it now. The township has no way of getting it done. It's through the county and the state, and we're in touch with them all the time now. They've have the Neshaminy Mall as a place where they're going to do it.
Oh, great. Okay.
That's already been done, and the senior citizen building. So we had that, but we don't have the vaccine.
Right.
And
Okay.
it's not, Bensalem is not holding any way backward.
Sure.
We're making every plea we can.
Okay. Thank you for that update, Mayor.
Okay.
That's all. That was it for me. Thank you.
Joe, Mr. Talkasian?
Yeah, I have a few things, Mr. Pillars. Yeah, thanks, Mayor, for noting the vaccine rollout here in Bensalem. I actually had someone banging on my door just yesterday.
People are upset.
Yeah, and I said, "Where's the vaccine?" And I just expressed to her that I would reach out to county officials, and I understand they're just as frustrated. So
Yeah, they are.
I recognize we're doing everything that we can. Yeah, thank you. First and foremost, I wanted to just express my condolences to Mr. Nero. Second, I also wanted to say that we could relate to the PennDOT rep about getting out of our homes for whatever official business we want to do. So, if we all want to go out there with you, Quentin, whatever inspection you're doing tomorrow, I'll be more than happy to go out. Because I know we all want to get out at some point. But just a quick update on. Do you have any update on the Eddington project for the sidewalks and curbs that I know you guys were looking at?
Well, it's the curbs around the retention basin, around the drainage.
Yeah,
Talking about the radiant
the whole
curbs.
neighborhood.
Well, they're not
Yeah, right. We haven't started that yet.
Yeah, go ahead, Quentin. You can do it. Go ahead.
Yeah, we've been working on a couple other projects for some paving and some stormwater and some other stuff right now. So as soon as we get clear to that, which will hopefully be in the next couple of weeks, we'll start focusing on that. So as of right now, we don't have a start date.
But it's,
Okay.
You know,
it's not
it's in the
sidewalks.
budget.
I don't want to.
Right.
I don't want to think.
okay.
They're getting sidewalks.
Okay, good. So at least the plan is to at least start doing some work over there this year at some point.
Absolutely.
Okay.
But it's for the radius curbs near the drainage. It's not sidewalks. I don't want people thinking.
Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. Correction. It was the curbs.
I don't want people.
Curb radii.
You're right. Good point. How about, since we're talking over there, anything happen going on with that Fisher's issue with all that?
The cemented.
Yeah, I just actually did a permit review, a rejection again today for the same application that came in. So it's going out again. I believe they're on their second architect. So
Are they looking? Are they looking to rip that up or what?
They keep submitting plans that provide drainage with it and everything.
Got it. Okay. All right, and then one other item. This is going to be for Mr. Benner. I wanted to refer back to the email that he had sent January 29th. And I just thought it would be good to have the conversation with all of us, because I know you had to include everybody, so I think it was good to do. So I do have a couple questions in terms of that email, if you can remember back to some of those items. You had noted there are some requirements for the 2020, 2021 yearly reporting. When do you expect to submit that report?
Yeah, just to clarify for everybody, what Councilman Talkmajan is talking about is the MS4 program, the requirement for stormwater management facilities and pollution reduction. The yearly report is a report all municipalities have to submit. The deadline is in the beginning of September. I think it's September 1st, I believe, is the deadline for that. And that reporting period will be from September of 2020 through September of 2021. And it basically goes over all of the various requirements that the township has to meet as part of their MS4 MPDS stormwater permit. A lot of that is monitoring of stormwater outfalls. It's public education. It's education for the public works departments. It's mapping updates of stormwater facilities and the amount of progress you're making on your pollution reduction plan that was part of that 5-year permit. So just to clarify, you have a permit that's good for 5 years. Each year within that permit cycle, you submit a report talking about your progress on that. And that's due in September. And we're working, go ahead.
Okay, so even though the deadline's September 1st, do you expect to have that submitted any earlier?
Well, it's somewhat dependent. A lot of the outfall testing that we do is weather dependent. You have to have so much, as an example, if you're testing 50 outfalls, you're going to take samples. Those outfalls can only be tested if it hasn't rained for 2 days, that type of thing. So a lot of that's dependent on weather conditions and updating the educational process that's part of that yearly reporting. I mean, typically we get these things out. We do them from a number of communities where we're township engineers. It's like in that August time frame. We like to get things wrapped up like in June. We can review these with council as an example in July, submit in August. We haven't missed the deadline yet on any of these.
No, I wouldn't. I guess my other question to you is the outfalls that you're referring to. Are they applicable to residential and/or commercial developments that we would see?
What we do is we do a sampling of outfalls really throughout the township, and we make sure it's geographically spread out through the township. It includes residential, includes commercial, and over this 5-year period, we pretty much test all of the outfalls that are mapped. And then the ones where if we find any, as an example, pollutants being discharged, illicit discharges, we'll monitor those from year to year then, make sure there's no illicit discharges. And as part of this process, we actually will trace those illicit discharges back to find out who's doing what.
All right. And I'm assuming this MS4 program sets more rigorous requirements in terms of stormwater for future development plans that we look at?
Well, it's focused, the focus of it is really water quality. You have a stormwater management ordinance now in the township that focuses really on both water quantity, water quality. This MPDS MS4 permit is solely focused on water quality issues.
Got it. Okay. All right. I wanted to steer more towards the quantity. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think quality is just as important. But and the reason why I'm asking these questions, Mr. Benner, is only because of the fact that recently we've seen a number of different issues. We're talking developments that have been in Bensalem for 30 plus years, and we're seeing residents having issues with stormwater based off the increased impervious. So some of these inquiries I had made, I do know that the county is working on updating their code to then funnel down to the townships.
Yeah, I mean, a part of their Act 167 code, which is really a watershed-wide stormwater program, once again, that over the years has evolved from just a water quantity issue to now water quantity and water quality. And I'll tell you this, as we look at these water quality issues and we look at these projects that are geared towards pollution reduction prevention, we tend to also look at them from a water quantity issue. And if we can stack benefits where we get water quantity and water quality, that's what we tried to do. We think that provides the greatest value for the township. I mean, everybody likes to look at water quality and improve water quality, but if you're getting flooded every 3 years, water quality doesn't become that important. It's more water quantity. So we always try to stack benefits when we look at those projects.
Yeah, great. I'm glad you noted that, because that was my final question in terms of, are you looking to include additional requirements? So I certainly would encourage that, because of the fact that, you know, we do recognize that we have a significant quantity issue here on the lower end of the county. And I know the mayor can attest to it as well. We see a lot of water issues. So it'd be great to see that put through as soon as possible. And hopefully we can see that Act 167, go through a little sooner too as well. Try to address some of our water issues here. But I certainly appreciate the education.
And I'll tell you, we've recently completed 2 water quantity projects in the township, one in Bensalem Boulevard, other off of Clark Avenue. And we're getting ready to start our 3rd project. This is at the intersection of Bensalem Boulevard and Sarmiento Drive. And Councilman, obviously, if you want to get out of the house for a little bit, there's a lot of pipe going in the ground there. We do a lot of inspection work out there. So certainly do that. So that'll be our 3rd project. Each one of those projects strictly with water quantity issues in preventing flooding.
And you do those testing when you're seeing more rain or snow that's melting, I'm assuming.
Yes, yeah. We Quentin and Richard, our other inspectors, as they're out and about during in the township, we really have like a list of areas where we look at and kind of monitor flooding issues there, and then try to bring those to attention for budget and fixing those problems.
Yep. All right, great. It's good to see that we're taking a proactive approach in terms of looking at our flooding issues across the town. Thank you very much. Certainly appreciate it. Last but not least, just wanted to also encourage the vaccine as soon as we can roll that out, and hoping everybody stays safe. Thanks so much. Thank you, Mr. Polari.
Thank you, Ed. Joe? Mr. Knowles?
Yes, how you doing, Joe? Sorry, just startled. I was listening to that. But anyway, I wanted to pass my condolences to Quentin. His passing of his father. I'm sorry. I know he's been very ill, and Quentin's spent a lot of time, helping care for him. And I'm sorry to hear about his passing. We'll keep you in our prayers. Also, I wanted to mention that, I'm getting inundated with a lot of these requests too for the vaccine. Buckscounty.org. There's portals that the county's handling that people can. I had gotten an email from Gene in reference to the county and state, and I'm just passing those texts on to other people who request. Now, there is a gentleman, a guy on our veteran board, who says that if you're a veteran, you call 215-823-4014, and veterans can line up for get on the schedule for vaccinations for the vaccine. They apparently have to go to 39th and Woodland Avenue, but he seems to think that it's worth his efforts. He's going down. He called on February 4th, and he's got an appointment for the 24th of February, and he asked me to pass that on to any veterans that might want to call and go down to 39th and Woodland and get a vaccine. Otherwise, we have to follow the county things. So that's about it. And I'd like to wish everybody happy Valentine's Day and a happy Chinese New Year. And hopefully we're all safe and hang in there till this is by us. Okay. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you, Joe. Mr. Mayor?
Thanks, Joe. To Quentin, as always, Quentin, I know how long you've been going on with Mom and Dad, and you're losing your dad like that. My sincere sympathy to you and your family. So I guess I will wish everybody a happy Valentine's Day. And some of the things that bother me, bothers everybody, we talk about the vaccine. I know people going over in Jersey and getting it. Jersey's got a wide open thing over there. The malls, at the different departments, they're giving it much more than here. And hopefully that this thing breaks loose all of a sudden. I think that we get these vaccines because it's going to be a way we beat this. It's going to be a way to beat it. And so don't give up. I mean, everybody there, when they call here, we go there. It's just a frustrating situation. So I hope everybody hangs in there and has the patience. I think it'll become the next week or so, or 2 weeks, that it'll be more available.
No.
Other than that, everybody, stay safe, wear your mask, and I know there's another gentleman on here. How you feeling, Russ? Pretty good?
Yes, Mayor. I fortunately, very fortunately, and I'll tell you, I was scared. Our family got it. It happened very quickly with very little contact, and we all had mild cases. Of course, we lost taste and smell, but it was more or less just a cold, and quite frankly, thank God that that's all it was.
Yeah, we were thinking about you.
But I will tell every one of you, you cannot believe how contagious this is and how quickly you get it. And especially once it comes into your house, it's just there. It was a scary proposition for us, but we were all fortunate.
Well, thank God you're good. Thank God.
Okay, Mr. Pizzo?
Since time of our last meeting, we did celebrate Unity Week back in January, virtually. B3T led the way, as they have in past years. It was all done virtually. Anyone who had an opportunity to participate, it was obviously not the same as going to the various houses of worship, but it was still an important time in the township, and the videos of the various services are online for anyone who wants to go back and watch them. And the only other thing is, obviously we got hit with a lot of snow over the course of the last week, and I think
Look out.
everybody shares in the great job that our township crews have done in getting the roads cleared and getting them salted and staying ahead of the weather. I had to venture out a couple times during both snowstorms, and couldn't have been more impressed with the job that our crews have done. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. The same with the road department. We'll go there. I had a lot of calls from people saying how well our department did, the hard work that they put in. A lot of people complain about the driveway, but there's not much you can do. These guys have to get the streets clear so that, and it's a big township to get done. They work hard, put a lot of time and a lot of hours in, and they'll keep working on our future storms. Quentin, my condolences to you and your dad, and if there's anything you need, you know, your friends are here to do anything we can for you. Okay, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Motion's done.